I started from nothing, never knew where my next meal was coming. But I transform my life, I stay one step ahead. Mindset of disruption, I own the edge. This is the Thrillcast, where I bring the wisdom you need. Everyone is selling knowledge, I give mine away for free. I'm as real as it gets, you either love or hate me. Best believe I'm Major League Bill Hines, that's me. This is the Thrillcast. This is the Thrillcast. This is the Thrillcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Thrillcast. It's been a while since we were back in Long Beach, and now we're back in the studio. We're going to pump out a few podcasts, and with me today is a community advocate from York, Pennsylvania. I'd like to welcome Anu Banks. Anu is he's the leader of a nonprofit organization in York that is doing great things for the community, and it's called The Movement, and we're going to get into that. But welcome, Anu, and thanks for coming on, man. Yeah. You're welcome, man. It's so I know we always go back and forth on social media a lot and some texts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And but thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
You're very bold to be a York City person to come and hang with the thrill, so to speak.
Yeah, I tend to be a loner and go by my own rules, but you know.
So for my listeners, most of them are sports fans and and actually local nosy people who just, haters that just want to listen. You know who you are.
Yeah.
So they're going to get out there. So it's like, surprisingly, this, I like to say on my shitty podcast, does pretty damn well. So tell the listeners like what you are and what you do for the community. And again, this is not bragging because I'm asking you, because I know you're pretty humble and you just, you bust your ass, man. I see it. You're always like out there with tractor trailers unloading food and sweating your ass off, and you got your son with you and everything.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So it's like a family affair.
Yeah, I try to make sure my son's there for a lot of it because I want him to have that character, because I always got this timeline for him. So by the time he's 13, like, he's on his own in life.
Like, what do you mean on his own?
Like, he'll be prepared.
Driver's license? No, I'm just kidding.
Close to it, but like, I just want him to develop a lot of character.
Yeah.
So sometimes I even take him to meetings. He may not understand it, but at least he could hear it and, become familiar with that setting. So
I think that's important because even so all three of my daughters, I would take them to different places, meetings, whether I'm going to the bank or I'm going just because, and again, they're like this on the phone or not paying attention or in their iPad. But I like to say it's kind of like osmosis. Like it's just coming in, being in that element, and that they're not uncomfortable. So, I think it's, a joy to see.
Yeah.
And I just saw him recently. He had the paint on and everything.
Oh, yeah.
That was a cute picture.
Yeah, that was the Juneteenth.
Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
That was a good event.
Yeah.
It was a good event.
Absolutely.
As far as me, the reason I actually started out as a podcast. And I was in Carlisle at the time. And the house that I lived in, around the corner, there was this church. But I didn't understand their system up there, but there used to always be like a plethora of homeless people walking past. So I asked the girl I was dating at the time, I was like, why is all these people walking by every day? And she was like, oh, well, they stay at the church. And she explained their church system up there. It was called Carlisle's Care. After a while, I learned what it was. And each church would rotate monthly on housing the homeless.
Yeah.
So their only way to be able to stay there is as long as they was bringing job applications that were filled out, they could stay. So that was, to me, I'm like, oh, okay. So I started talking to them and I was like, let me start recording these folks and seeing their stories. So once I started listening to the stories, it was like a lot of them were just freshly homeless or been homeless with jobs. A good deal of them had jobs. It was just that it wasn't enough. I met one guy, I don't understand how the court systems allowed it, but he became homeless from child support. So, it's like, okay, you either pay this or go to jail or pay this and be homeless. So he chose to be homeless.
Yeah, just like the ends don't meet. It's like,
yeah,
hey, you have to pay this much. I only have this much coming in, but they're saying this much has to go to the ex-wife, ex-girlfriend, and the baby. Which, granted, the child definitely needs child care, but not at the... I think there has to be a happy medium with the...
Oh, absolutely.
Because, you can't make the guy homeless because then, all too often when they are homeless, they're just not getting the right sleep. And then they typically then lose their job because they're just, it's just not working on the other side.
No, it's not. Then I met one individual. He became homeless after a divorce because, the wife got everything and he's paying alimony and he's trying to get it adjusted. And the system is like, oh, well, we got to do dates and figure out how to do this or whatever. And like, to me, that's a no-brainer. I'm not going to put you in the streets because she doesn't want to work or however it goes down. I think that a lot of them were men, so it's like, okay, you can weather this more than a female with children can, or
yeah, I think men have that innate ability to actually survive. Most, in my opinion, some don't. Some are
that is
just, and lack of a better word, some guys are pussies.
Yeah.
I'm just, not to take it that way, but I'm
it's actuality.
I knew you know me. I like to keep it real.
Yeah.
Like more than real.
Yeah. And some that I met, it started turning into mothers and people wanting to tell their stories. So it became a lot of times it was the one mother was telling about her son killing someone and how that affected them because she's like, my son took someone's life.
Yeah.
So she was thinking about that person's family and it's just like so many stories.
That's a deep conversation to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because when like if there's just two people and one person's pulling the trigger and obviously ending the life of another, a lot of times people just think like, oh, it's just between them.
Yeah.
But there's hundreds and even could be thousands of people that are affected by those two situations.
It instantly made me think of the pebble in the pond ripple effect.
Oh yeah.
So it's like you affect so many things when you do actions or you take actions like that.
The mother and the father who's like, man, I thought I raised my kid good. How could he stand behind a gun and pull that trigger and take someone's life? Like what?
Yeah.
I know a lot of parents that have been like second guessed. Like, what did I do?
Yeah,
that made them act.
I mean,
like
a lot
that.
of the words you're saying now, that's kind of how she was talking, and it's just like, she didn't. I think internally she was holding her son accountable for his actions,
which you do.
But visually to him, it was like I still gotta express that motherly love for my child.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like you're torn both ways. So
and then conversely, because you see it all the time, like example, like if there's murders out there or something like that, and you see there's like sometimes backlash on the parents of the murderer because they're like, well, you're supporting your son, and there's somebody that's been murdered here, whether it's like a female or a male or whatever. Somebody was died, and it's like, well, what's the I feel bad for both parents, obviously, but man, they don't deserve the backlash. Now, unless the parents are up there screaming like, yeah, they deserved it. Like if something like that, then it's like, well, they're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But when it's like, well, shit, okay, yes, it's my kid. I want to, obviously we know he's going to go to jail for the rest of his life, but but still, how can we support them and love them and maybe even still like, his last breath wasn't taken yet. So it's like, okay, until that last breath, how can we help him to become a better person? Because you can still affect change, even if you're a murderer in jail or something else, or, even get out. So like there could still become some positive from such a bad situation. So is that kind of
absolutely
how the movement started and like why you wanted to create that? Because like all of these stories that need to be told?
Yeah, the stories, it was like, that's why our slogan is voice for the voiceless, because so many voices get heard through our organization.
I noticed that.
Yeah. And then once we actually started doing lives instead of just a podcast, and that really took off. And so people saw faces to the voices, and it was like, oh, well, they're regular everyday people. They didn't think that at first. And I was kind of shocked at that. But once they saw us, and many of us like, well, I know them. And then it's like, well, y'all have a group or something. So we created the group, and it's been wildfire from there. It's like everything we do is always like driven by what the community wants. You know what I mean? But
also I would say what they need too.
Yeah. That's how I was going. It's like all the ideas we have usually are driven by that need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of we got great ideas, sure. But does it really work for the community executing those ideas?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So we always put out feelers. Well, what do you guys think of this or that or whatever? So I think that's the momentum that we always keep because we ask the community. We don't have these ideas saying this is what's best for you.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of organizations fail at doing that because they're like legacy organizations, I call them, that been around for a while. So you get these folks in there that aren't truly connected to the neighborhood. And then it's like, well, we see this and we want to try this or whatever. And then
but they sound good.
Exactly.
They look good. They sound good. It's like, this is what we do.
The translation doesn't happen.
Exactly.
And then they come to folks like me and say, well, how could we do better? Or what is it that we could change?
And it's like,
listen.
So these communities, these organizations that's been around forever that are actually, one, they have the capital.
Stream capital.
They have the capital. They have a tremendous amount of capital. And we'll get to that, the giving local York thing later. But because I want to ask you questions on that. So, and they to me, it's like, okay, you were the OGs in this situation in a nonprofit. And yet now you're having these think tanks saying, okay, hey, how do we split off or something and do a grassroots? Like you shouldn't have to do a grassroots. You should already be in the grass and in the weeds. And you should know what the community is, but they're so not in touch with the community, but they're sitting on these huge coffers. Like, you know, at the end of the year when they're doing their financial statements, they shouldn't be sitting on this money as a nonprofit. They should put the money into the communities where it deserves. And some of them are sitting on that, and some of them have these huge salaries for their CEO and the CFO and this and that and the other thing. So, you know, we can debate that forever.
Yeah.
But I just think that, and when that Give Local thing happened, I was going through, I didn't even know. I think they could do a better job in York to get that message out, to say, hey, people, you know, we this is what it is. And you have 24 hours. Like I found out after the 24th hour, I'm like, oh shit, I got to do something. So I went on and I started like looking at all of the ones that I say hold near and dear to me. And typically it's anything with children. So like the Children's Home of York, I did anything with food, of feeding people. So the food banks and things like that. And then, you know, or organizations such as like, which I didn't see it on there, the Mr. Sandy's Veterans Center. That wasn't on Give Local. I think she was just like, screw it for some reason. Just give me the money directly because it's whatever. And then I saw your organization on there. So obviously I did that as well. And, but yeah, that was like after the fact. So I'm like, I remember texting like Kevin Schreiber. I'm like, oh, did I miss it? And he's like, no, you still have like this period of time. So I went on real quickly and I just started like, you know, I didn't want to just give one big donation to one organization. You know,
which happens a lot.
I wanted to basically spread the love. So I did that. I know I gave, I think I gave anywhere between like 12 and 14 grand between, and I'm not, that's not patting myself on the back, but my point is like, it was a lot. And I just kept getting all these receipts and stuff like that, but like different, like charter schools and different things like that. But I think as much money was raised, I saw some organizations that I did. I'm like, how the fuck does this one only has $5,000 and this one over here has 250,000? Meanwhile, they have millions in the bank. So it just was like, I don't. That I was like mind blowing. So literally, I was going to the bottom.
They do the team things. Like they'll get their people that work for them to get out there and advocate for them and things like that.
Yeah, but what if it's a nonprofit that only has 3 or 4 people like yours and stuff like that? A different, like they don't have like 100 employees working.
Yeah,
for
we
them,
don't.
And you
We
can't
have
get
no
out there.
employees.
Yeah, exactly. So
I don't even get paid. So.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
So it's like we're definitely volunteer based. I mean, we create a lot of impact, and I'll say that our influence is far. We don't get a credit for a lot that we brought to the table. Yeah. And pave ways for certain things. But, you know, to me, overall, as long as my community that I grew up in is starting to have some improvements, and I'm not talking about like downtown, I'm not talking about businesses, I'm talking about my actual communities.
Yeah, where the houses are, in the streets,
the people
that
that make up this, that have the identity of growing up here and experiencing things and understanding what was before them, what's to come, and things like that. Like, that's what's important to me.
So and I see that every day and every week that I see a tractor trailer backing up to your facility and you're feeding the people. So from it became from a podcast to lives to then saying, hey, you know what? A need and a want is like, I want to eat every day and I need to eat every day. Like, you have tractor trailers being unloaded, all the time, and you're feeding people. And how to get to that point to where now, and how many people do you feed on any given, week?
Our last Saturday was 425 people we assisted. And we've actually, companies reached out to us. This recent deal we did with 80 USA, they own Giant, Safeway, Food Lion, so they own a bunch of big grocery chains. Yeah, and their employees that work there brought us up. It was like, well, why aren't we supporting them? Because they're doing a lot of work. Yeah, and the U-Haul truck we have, of course, you can't back it up to a dock, so they still give us food, and they'll just put it on box by box and fill the skids that way. But I think it's just I don't want to say it's a calling, but somehow or some way we just seem to keep growing. We keep making connections. We keep getting actualized resources. And I say actualized because it has immediate impact. I never wanted my organization to be so big that it's got to go through chain of command. It has to do this or that. Like, no, we are right here, right now.
Going to a warehouse, and you don't know if it's actually getting distributed to the people in the community that needs it. Where, like, I've seen you on lives and everything. You're actually handing food to the person that is going to, like, maybe in an hour eat that. Because they haven't had meals in days or something like that, and you're giving them water and cases of water and stuff like that, and that's going to be consumed by that person that you're physically handing it to, and that's powerful. Because, man, when I'm on the lives, I see some ladies and guys, crying, like you're like their savior at that point, because you don't know about that until you actually gone hungry of what it is.
It's sometimes when the kids come and you see that, like that excitement, I know that feeling from being young. And when we had to be in food lines and you like, okay, we definitely eating tonight. So I know that look and I know that feeling. So it's like I sleep good at night knowing that I met that need. Yeah.
And that, and too, and it's like you sleep good at night and then you look over and you see your son and and like, okay, well, luckily, my son doesn't have to stand in those lines with me. Yeah, because I remember even like 5 years old, standing in line in Newark, New Jersey, waiting and like for the fucking free cheese and the.
That was some of the best cheese, though. Yeah, I'm not gonna front.
Get green, my mom. Like, cut around it.
Yeah, many a times that's.
Get mold and mildew.
My mom used to be like, they make penicillin from that. Yeah.
And it was like
the government cheese thing.
It's in like cardboard and shit.
Yeah. I still say that's the best cheese.
I don't know. It's because you haven't eaten in 3 days. So
that's true too.
They just hop it up on stuff. But
like our last load, it was cleaning supplies, and we had so many people coming. This is
very important because that's like people don't even understand. Even to that, it's like, yes, they need food, but cleaning supplies are so important. It keeps disease from happening, and like sickness and stuff like that.
So that load was a little over 10,000 pounds, and we got rid of in like 3 hours.
I was going to say a couple hours. Yeah. Right? Yeah, because when you hold an event, people show up in mass.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
But so, like, what are your main concerns right now? Like, what can the community do to help support you? Because I know it's been troubling times, and listen, you're human. And even we've talked, and you've even said like, hey, man, like, this is tough, and I'm even thinking about just like doing something else,
Yeah. I think the calls I get, like, if I could show my phone, sometimes I get calls.
Yeah, let's see your phone. Come on.
Or text messages. It's like 2-3 in the morning, and I think people having that access to me is what makes them feel comfortable. Something's going to happen for them. You know what I mean?
But then if it doesn't, like, you tried your best. Because I've had I've had that happen with me where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm going to try to help someone. Hey, listen, I tried. Then it's like, fuck him. He didn't like.
Yeah.
It's like I tried, but there's other people.
That's
and
rare
parties,
for me, actually.
What that you
that they
fail?
get mad.
Oh, they get mad at you.
Yeah, because it's a lot of times that I can't. Like, it's just a roadblock.
Yeah.
And I think with that, when that happens, is you wasn't truthful about something.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like they lied to you or something.
Yeah, and then when I find out, I'm like
if you're trying to help someone get a job.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, man, this place, they need this, this, and this. Like, hey, they're going to drug test you. Did you smoke anything?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they're like, no, I'm clean. And they go like, oh, you got popped for a drug test. Like, oh, man, you couldn't wait for.
You know, it's not that serious sometimes. But, you know, I still do it because it's like.
I had that. That was an experience for me. I recommended somebody for a job. And I was like, listen, man, they're going to drug test you. And he's like, that's no problem. I said, they're going to even do an alcohol test. Like, how do they do that? Like,
they have tests for all that.
I'm like, just fucking don't drink the night before.
Yeah.
Go in looking sober, right? And this guy is like a friend that was like, he's like a walking alcoholic. Like, he can perform. But he failed both. So, and that, you know, that makes me look bad. Like, Bill, why are you referring him?
Yeah. So we, good guy. I mean, people with Elite, Seth.
Yeah. So
he was like, you know, we will let people come in and move into our homes if you vouch for them. And I was like, whoa, I'm not going to do that.
That's
yeah, that's a bit much. You know what I mean? Because some people will ruin a thing and they don't even care about the damage or the ruins they leave behind. So I still just tell them, listen, I'll speak to them, and, you know, if you can get in, you still got to do the application and this and that, but I'll give them a heads up. Yeah. But as far as saying, like, oh, this person is going to pay their rent and stuff, I don't do that.
Well, funny you say that. You vouch for them. So one time somebody asked me if I could hire a sibling of theirs, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, shit, because they were in jail. And they were like, well, if anything, they could do work release, okay? So I was like, oh, man. And then I got business partners and everything else.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, okay, are you putting others at risk or you're not? But at the end of the day, it's like I still want to do something good.
Yeah.
So I hired the person. And this way the person can get out of jail for 10, 12 hours a day, come to work. But then also they had a 2-year-old, 3-year-old son. So then they were able to also, like, you know, we conveniently were able to have the son come visit mom at work. You know, and then it was going good until it didn't. And then the cleaning lady found the girl like in a room, like fucking with a heroin needle in her. So now my other employers are like, what the fuck?
Like, that's a shock.
Like, and then so we had no other choice but like to call up they literally arrested her. They handcuffed her and took her out. You know, so like that's, and I'm not saying any names, but that's a true story, and that happened here, and I felt bad for everything because, you know, it's like shit, and like I got to tell my partners this, but I think they know I was trying to do the right thing, and then but so I understand, like, what if you did that? You're like, yeah, I vouch for this person, and the person wakes up one night, goes nuts and then like beats somebody up or does something or steals something, or who knows, or fucking just dies, you know, like anything can happen when you're dealing with poverty, you know.
I think that
anything,
our poverty has created the survival mentality.
Yes.
And that
dog eat dog.
Yeah. Right? And that is not good for no community.
Nope.
And I also look at how York has changed over the years, because people from different demographics come with different traditions from where they grew up.
Facts.
And that's not something old school York was used
Yorkers,
to.
No, they don't.
You know,
change,
so
man.
we tend to overlook that. And I often tell people, you have to understand the way they grew up. It is normal. And I'll give an example of people from Philly. Now,
brotherly love.
Yeah, it's crazy, but they don't have a problem with doing something to their own and then coming around the corner later and be like, oh, what happened to you? Or, You know?
Yeah.
So that mentality, when you bring that here and that happens, we're like, what's going on?
Yeah,
or
like a shock.
When New York guys came here and brought true violence as far as like guns and stuff, you're wait a minute, we're not used to trying to shoot each other. You know,
we'll smack the shit out of someone.
Yeah.
You know, but we're not like, what, what?
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, fight, get it on, and okay, you lost. Y'all good? Yeah. And you walk away.
Yeah.
Now it's like, you get mad because he said hi to your girl. Now you want to shoot him. Like, what? But that's their lifestyle from where they came from. So we don't take that into consideration. So, I mean, York was too homely for that. Like it was just a homely place. People come here to retire or come here to get a nice factory job, which we don't have many anymore.
They're going away.
Yeah.
Well, that's I know, always from, the goal for a lot of, say, administrations that have won the mayorship in York, is so Mayor Bracey, even Mayor Helfrich, they've all of them have said they want good walkable jobs in the city, so that you don't need a bicycle and a green bike path or a car
dumbest thing
or a
ever.
bus. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's dumb, but I think there's more important. I think there's more important things to worry about, and I think that if somebody wants to get from point A to point B, a painted green line is not going to keep them from doing it. Especially Yorkers who are like resilient and tough. Like they're like, well, I must. Like, and anytime I see somebody riding a bicycle, they're not in that green line.
No,
they're on the yellow line. They're over it. They're popping a wheelie. They're everywhere but the line where you're telling them to go. They're on the sidewalk.
If you're in the city and you see who uses it, you're like,
yeah.
Even when I'm not a victim, but I'm a offender of that. Because when I see somebody using it, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you riding a bike in the middle of the street? Like,
call up York City Police, give you a ticket later.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I'm flipping on you.
I didn't understand. I know. Yeah. I didn't understand the whole reasoning by that.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't have repurposed those funds into something else, because you can often repurpose grant money if you just put into the folks that gave it to you.
Yeah.
And like, look, this need isn't needed anymore. Yeah. Can we use it for this?
Yeah, I just think though, like, to me, I would rather see, and this goes for everything. Like, instead of giving, I don't know, billions to Ukraine or all these other places, like, first and foremost, I say, like, there should not be a homeless veteran or family of veterans ever, especially when you have all these military bases that are shut down and there's tens of thousands of bedrooms and beds sitting vacant. Like, why can't they be opened up and say, okay, here's a place. Now you'll run it kind of like a halfway house almost, or like a hostel or something, like a, but transient housing, whatever you want to call it, and you figure how many community organizations would go in there and say, okay, we'll feed them, and you give them 3 meals a day. And I think that'll solve a lot of the problems of crime and situations. But now, again, I say veterans, but there's a lot of veterans that people don't even know that are veterans.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But I also said, and their families. So it's like if somebody, their children, and because it's affecting, because they have a lot of PTSD and different things where, like, maybe they can't keep a job, maybe they see something at a job and they go nuts on somebody, or or just do something that they shouldn't do, and they don't have the access to the help that they need to get. So, but then take it even further, there's probably enough money and enough resources to get all the homeless people off the streets.
I'm positive it is.
There's like the military bases that are just sitting there. I could just name them, like Fort McClellan, Alabama, Fort Dix, Fort Ord, California, Fort Drum, New York. There's so many bases all over the country. They're just like, oh, we're downsizing the military. You're downsizing the military, but you're taking that money and you're giving it to all these foreign countries. It's like, that to me is like that to me is like near and dear to my heart. Like, that stuff is like, but obviously I have no say in that, but I can speak to it.
Yeah.
And you on your level are doing that. So what? So what do you need to like? I know you have this like 2-year plan where you're just like, hey, I want to do something else in a couple of years. But what would need to happen, like that you would say, you know what, I'm in this for even the longer haul, and I'm not gonna go do something else in 2 years. Like I'm not gonna like. So will the movement end entirely, or will the movement be like just come into a different form of? Because again, it started as a podcast. It started as just a getting the word out there, the voice, the voiceless, right? So, like, what would need to happen for you to be like, all right, this is like,
oh, there's nothing that could happen.
Oh, okay, so it's the decisions
yeah,
made.
that's it. Yeah,
okay.
I think that I think the person that I had chosen that's coming behind me, I think she's good. When you look at our demographics,
so the movement's going to continue.
Yeah,
but you're just not going to run it.
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's cool then.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does the organization need to thrive in the next 5 years?
Oh, definitely funding.
Okay, yeah, obviously cash. We need
zero.
Some peeling off some.
Yeah,
yeah,
and that sometimes that tends to make me wonder, like, why we don't. Especially with the impact that we have or the reach that we have.
Yeah, I was scratching my head when I was, because on the GiveLocalYork, if people don't know about this, you can go on and click and see what real-time donations have gone to these organizations. And some of them are clicking. I'm just like, I don't get why that one has 200 grand already. And then this one, which is actually feeding people, is like, I don't know, 7-8 grand or whatever it is. So I just don't get, why some were, and then I seen some that I thought were really decent organizations. And they literally had like $200. So I was like, shit, let me give that one $500 or something like that.
Man, when I look at some of them, I'm like, there's
some shouldn't have even been on there.
There's a discrepancy because I'm like, I see these folks out here. I see what they're doing. And
I'm not going to name names or pick on anyone.
Yeah,
but
it's as you said, you see them with like $200 or $300, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like how? And usually when you go to these funders, they want to see the data or what do they call that? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's
like the social impact or the demographics of what.
It's something like demographics, but I'll give an example of
the metrics of what.
Yeah, it's something like that. And we did our community needs assessment, and because we do the food pantry, and we saw that York County is 7 million pounds short of meeting its regular need.
Now, is that 7 million pounds like a year or a month or
yearly?
A year. That's a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. So the need to having multiple pantries the way we do is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
We need a couple more actually.
Okay.
So we wanted to add an extra day to
the one at the Northeast Neighborhood Association, is that considered a pantry?
Yeah.
The one like right out that window?
Right behind you. Yep.
Yeah, I gave to them too.
Yeah. Even they have lines. When ours started.
Oh yeah, I could see him. Man.
Yeah.
Is it called Crystal's house, right?
Crystal's place.
Crystal's place. Yeah. She was awesome.
Yeah, she was. I went to school with her kids.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
I know them. Yeah. Elmira and all them.
Oh, nice. Yeah. They're great people over there. Yeah.
Yeah. Her sister runs it now.
Yeah. Now. Yep.
But when our pantry started, we maybe on a good day, and I'm talking a really good day, may have done like 50 people, to the point now we're always over 100 people, always. And then we always do like the other day with the cleaning, we say special load, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when we have that, it's like everybody.
Well, they know they're not coming to get food. They're saying, hey, this is a special load, just clean
No, we get food with it too.
Oh, well, do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We get food with it.
I thought it was just solely cleaning, yeah.
The one when we had the tractor trailer, we did 30,000 pounds of food that day.
Now, are you getting anyone like Dunkin' Donuts or Panera or anyone like
Rudders? Rudders gives us
some food and stuff like that.
We do their just at date stuff that they'll end up throwing out.
Oh, okay.
And we pick up 3 times a week from them. So, but we reached out to Turkey Hill. They was flat out like, no, we throw our stuff away.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
See that's just honestly. That should be some type of mandate from the federal government saying if you have stuff that's coming to because again it says like Best By this date.
Yeah, and
again,
some people don't understand just because it says Best By or sell by date.
Yeah,
doesn't mean it's bad food.
Now I won't fuck with that.
Yeah.
But my point is, like I'm Mr. I don't eat leftovers. Yeah, I'm horrible to speak to on that shit. So, but I'm picky. So
I understand.
But my point is like that to me, it's like if there's certain places that have that, like they're not gonna even though it says Best By date, they're not gonna sell it. They're nobody, like you're gonna pick it up on the shelves like shit. But my point is like that could immediately within 24 hours be on the plate or on the table of a family in need. I literally think like, hey, if you're throwing it out, one, they're going to write that loss off anyway. Why not give it back to the community? Like, oh no, they're afraid of, because again, they're afraid of like lawsuits, and I don't know, maybe the government indemnifies them for that stuff and says, okay, you're not going to be held liable if somebody says they got food poisoning off the bread that you sold them that was you know 5 days old or whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean?
When we get stuff from Rudders, the most it might be like I've seen something 3 days past the date.
Yeah.
You know,
as long as it's kept good. Like if it's in 130-degree temperature, it's like probably not going to be good. If it's like milk or yogurt, but you know, if it's always in cooler,
when we pick it up, we get it out of the coolers.
But I know in certain areas, I know Panera has been given like anything that wasn't sold that day. You know,
they give
keep
away
a little bit
tons.
They give away tons. So but I think like churches are lined up for that, and then they have bread programs, and then they have volunteers that'll deliver to like.
Rudders was happy. They was like, oh, absolutely. How many stores you need? I was
actually,
like, well,
for the church, my ex-wife goes to this church, and her sister, like people, they pick up. They do it weekly, so each church has a different day. So their church is one day. They pick up the bread and everything, and then they'll some might be big ass things, and then they parse it down, and they have a list, and then what they do is then they just give out. They then deliver it. Like in their cars, all volunteers, and they'll just deliver like, here's some bread. And then sometimes there's other stuff, you know, whatever Panera's giving out. But so every day there's different. And they literally, she'll tell me like, oh yeah, I talked for like a half hour with that one person. I'm like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah.
So even that community and the fellowship of just being there saying, so some people, she's like, Bill, there's some people that they don't see anyone for days. They don't even check on them.
Exactly.
So like she'll knock on the door and be like, here you go. So I'm happy that the movement's going to continue forward. But what's next? We're getting close to where we have to wrap it up because you know my producers and videographers they hate me when I go long over time.
Yeah.
But I'll even ask them if they have any follow-up questions. But so for the movement and for Anew, like obviously you know I'm going to continue to support them the best I can, and hopefully we get the word out and more people can donate. But what do you think is next for you?
Well, I want to spend more time with my grandkids.
Grandkids?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got 2 twin granddaughters.
Nice.
I'm trying
son,
to,
right?
Well, my other son, he wants to go into this one business with me. So I want to focus on that more. I'm trying to build my cleaning business. You know what I mean? I love, serving my community and being their servant.
Yeah.
You know, I'm definitely running for city council in 2 years.
That's what I wanted to get to.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to run for city council. So with that, because I think with what I see and what I think can happen, I just think I'm the perfect guy for it.
Well, like I said, I think you could run for mayor, but like we had that argument on social media. But I think, at this point, I like to say like the country, the like different area, the city, you know what? If it wasn't working, let's just fix it. Let's give someone else a try.
Exactly.
So like, nothing against Mayor Helfrich. I still don't know how you beat Mayor Bracey. That's beside the point, But
I mean, overall, I interact with him, and I think as a person, he's a good person
for sure.
You know what I mean?
I just think like, okay, but my point is like, at what point? I don't remember, even with Mayor Bracey, I don't remember a time where York City, the mayor, and the council were not
eye to eye.
Were not adversarial to each other or not contentions towards each other. Everything's a fight. And it's funny. It's like
everything.
Mayor Helfrich was on the he was literally the president of the council. And then literally, it's like literally you, and it seemed like I'd go to the meetings with this guy, Manuel Gomez, or
I don't know him.
He's fucking awesome. I love him.
Yeah.
He got to be your spokesperson. I'll introduce you to him. He's fucking great.
Yeah.
His words are so big, people are like, what the fuck did he just say? You know, it's like,
yeah, that's
and he would film every little thing. He moved away, he came back though. Anyway. So, anyway, it's like, you think Mayor Helfrich, as the president of the city council, when he was president of the city council, he then now became the mayor. You're like, oh, this is going to work out great. Like a lot of things are going to go. And then it's like literally the minute he put his hand down from the Bible and took the oath, they were like, fuck him. Like, what the fuck? It's like,
when I seen that, I was shocked.
Man. So
like,
I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, you know, if they just figured out a way to work together, I think this like fighting doesn't do anything good for.
I think it's so stupid. I mean, I try not to take sides because it's like at the end of the day, come on, man.
I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying like, hey, listen, you know, there's got like, you like the guy when he was sitting next to you, and you guys voted as a unit. You voted as a unit. But now that he's the mayor, you're just like, fuck him. Is it the position?
I don't know what it is.
You know what I mean? It's like, because they did it to Mayor Bracey too. Yeah. And I'm sure they did it to...
She definitely had her issues, you know?
Oh yeah, nobody's perfect. But my point is, but here's the thing. I do believe Mayor Bracey, Mayor Helfrich, they care.
Yeah.
And they do want what's best. But sometimes people, they don't know what's best. And they need good advisors, they need help, and sometimes they're not getting that help because at the end of the day, you know, no offense, like your chief of staff, they want to get paid. The chief of police, the fire captain, like these people,
all that. It's a whole
the commissioner,
like
who I believe actually the police commissioner, I think he's a really good guy as a police chief.
Oh, Muldrow, yeah.
I think that guy's like straight up stand up, you know.
Yeah,
I think he's a decent guy and everything like that. But other than that, so what's next for you in the next couple months? And then when we do this, we'll be on YouTube and all that. We're going to put the movement on there and you know, anything you're doing. If you want to promote your cleaning company or whatever. Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure we get a bigger truck for us.
Okay.
That's the main goal.
What's bigger? How big?
Like a 26-foot.
Oh, box truck, 26-foot box truck? Okay.
Yeah.
So anyone got a 26-foot box truck out there
I
they
know,
want to donate?
just donate it. But because that one that can pull up to a dock, that, you know, that.
Oh, one day you might have a 53-foot tractor trailer coming. I mean, you're growing. I mean,
we have access to one.
Vans. Yeah, you got access, but you used to have vans.
Yeah.
You know, and cars.
Our personal cars. Yeah. So I mean, it's actually the Pell Foundation bought our U-Haul truck. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great people too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what we need, that truck, man, because then we could do so much more with that truck. So much more.
Oh yeah, because the more food you can get in, the more you can distribute.
Oh, we have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. Our group is almost 15,000 now. It's the movement. If you'll see a lady on there, it's like a mural painting.
A link,
yeah. And if on our page there is a donation button. So we have a donation button on the page.
And that donation goes directly to you guys. Yeah. Right? It's not going through like that third party.
No.
Giving York local.
No.
Or GiveLocalYork.
Yeah, GiveLocalYork, yeah.
So and obviously that donation button is open 24/7.
It is. Yeah. It's never closed.
And I can attest, I mean, obviously the money, like any money you get, it's not like just going in your pocket and be like, yeah, I got money.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, you're not going to the strip club with it, you know?
No.
So you're actually...
I don't go with my own money.
No, I know, exactly. No, I'm just making a joke.
Yeah,
bad joke. But my point is you're like literally anybody can log in or sign up on the movement Facebook group and actually see your donation and your money going to work.
They can come to our building.
You can, and that's another thing too, is maybe you don't have money, but maybe you can volunteer and help hand out food or pack food or just show up to an event.
We're a choice pantry, so that helps us save on waste.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So when people come into the building, they pick what they want.
Oh, so oh, okay, that's good. So they're just not getting like,
we don't
here's your
prepackage
box.
nothing. Yeah,
some places do that. It's like,
and that's where you get the waste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember one time they were doing that for like Thanksgiving when I was a kid, and then I'm like,
it's a lot of stuff you don't want to eat.
One time in the and I was shocked that they gave this. They had like a package of Andes candies in it.
Yeah,
and I knew it was a candy. I'm not kidding you. I ate the fucking whole package. You ever see those? They're interviews.
Yeah,
I got so sick. So to this day, you'll never see me eat an Andy candy.
Oh, okay.
But when you're like 8 years old, poor, and you're like,
need that.
Eat that shit. Like I got like 1,200 calories just from a box of shit. Anyway, but it's good to have you here. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, this is a pleasure.
And it's good talking to you. And you know, I'm sure me and you could talk. Oh, we do. We talk for hours on text or on the different political stuff or giving back. But you know, the main goal is everyone here is, you know, creating businesses and trying to give back, and you know, even if you can give $10 a month or something, somebody, you know, just, and it doesn't have to be the movement, it could be anyone, but I like the movement because they're feeding the people and they're literally giving back. But you know, if you can get involved, whether it be as a volunteer or some type of money, like these are the organizations that are directly impacting actual residents that are, you know, shoulder and shoulder with you, fighting the good fight every day here in New York City.
Yeah.
So I want to commend you for that. I want to thank you for that. And thank you for
absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody. Be good.